First, go to the JetBrains website, so jetbrains.com/Pycharm, and click on download. Depending on your operating system, choose the appropriate one. I'm on Windows, and download the community version, which is free. Once you have the file downloaded, click on it and pick mostly the defaults, but check all the boxes for the paths and the folders. If you need to reboot after installation, do that, and then we'll continue. When you open Pycharm for the first time, you can create a new project and you can name it whatever you like. I'm gonna name it Start Python. Okay, now create a new file. So we want a Python file, and you can name it anything. I'll name it main, but it doesn't have to be that. To run a Python program, all we need to do is to type Python and then the name of the file that we have. Here mine is main.py, and because I'm in the same folder, I don't need to write the full path. If I was in a parent folder, then I would need to write the path that leads to this file. So if I run this, nothing happens because there is no code. If I write some code, so Python has this print function, and I'm just gonna print my own name. And if I try to run this again, I'm saving this file with Control and S, then my name is printed because this line of code is being run. Now instead of typing this Python and the name of the file every single time we change the code, we can add a configuration up here. So on the top right, click on Add Configuration, and then click the plus button, choose Python, and then write this same path to the file. So I have it copied already, and I will just paste and add main.py. So wherever your path is, just change it to the path that your file exists. Click on OK. You should have something like this, and with a green run button. So if I run this again, you see that again this line of code is executed. You can comment things out in Python by putting a hashtag behind a line of code. Comments are good for expressing some information for yourself later or for other developers, but it means this line of code will not be executed. So if I run this right now, nothing gets printed down here. Now for the rest of this video, I want to show you variables, conditionals, for loops, and functions. A variable is just a name that we give to some value. So A is 100, which is a number. B can be a text. Let's say we have these things called booleans, which can be true or false. Now when we program, we prefer to use meaningful names so other developers know what the context is and what this code is trying to achieve. Let's say this is age, and this is my name, and this is if I'm a male or not. Last time I checked I was. And we can perform different operations on these variables. So a simple thing is to just print them out. So if I print name and age, you will see these values that are assigned to these. You can also add or subtract or do different operations. So age plus 10, we should see 110 down here. Now let's clear this up and talk about conditionals. We use the if keyword to define a conditional statement. It just means either one piece of code will be executed or it won't. So let's say I want to say if age is less than 100, then it's still a good time to learn to code. So learn to code. So right now age is exactly 100. For that reason, this statement is false. So this line of code will not be executed. If I run this, nothing gets printed out. But if I change this to smaller or equal, then this statement is a true statement. Therefore, this line of code does get executed. You can also add an else statement to an if statement to basically say, if this was not true, then run this other code. So here, maybe I'll say, spend time on growing plants. I mean, you can grow plants if you're younger too, but you get the idea. So if I change this to 110, now this statement is false, therefore the else portion of the code will happen. Now let's comment all of this out and talk about for loops. For loops simply means you iterate over something. So if I want to print the numbers between 1 and to 10, I can write for I in range 10, and Python starts counting from 0. So this will print 0 to 9. I'll just print I. If I run this, I'm starting from 0 and I'm printing all the way to 9. So this helps me not have to repeatedly type something. Now let's comment this out. So we use this print function, but we didn't define how somebody would define these functions. Python has some built-in functions that we don't need to define, we can just use them. But maybe you want to define something of your own. You use this def, stands for define keyword, and then name it whatever you like. For example, say hi. And the function can take some arguments. Right now we're not giving it any argument. And we just say print hi. Now this is just a definition of this function. This function will do this if we call it. And we can call it by simply typing it with the parentheses. Now if I run this, I see this hi getting printed because I'm calling this. Now the beauty of a function is that it makes your code more flexible and you can reuse that code. So if I want to say hi to different people, I will add a name here and I will just say hi to that name. And now I can pass this argument. So if I pass my name, now I'm saying to this name, I could use it for different names and I don't have to keep repeating the code. I can only call the same function with different arguments. If this was your first time coding, pat yourself on the back. As basic as these ideas may sound, they are the fundamentals to any coding language that you learn. If you're interested in learning more, check out my video on data types and data structures. And if those concepts are already familiar to you, then take a look at my series on object-oriented Python. That will enable you to write code for more complex projects.